Hello.
Oh, hey there. Do people still remember me?
Who are you? Jon, you look awful different today. Like you've
Maybe I
grown a
should
lot
put on
and
my
you've become more German.
hat. I brought my hammer.
Nice.
Well, yeah. I literally just rolled out of bed because I'm here in Singapore. Where's everyone else? You're in Melbourne, Alaister, and you're
Yep.
you should be watching the footy. What are you doing?
I think it's not even today. It's a public holiday here in Melbourne, but for a sporting event, which always makes me laugh. But I think it's not even today. It's like Sunday or something.
Oh,
But they just give
well,
us the Friday anyway. There you go.
you gotta prepare.
I should be preparing for the grand final. Yeah.
All right,
But yeah,
we'll get someone new here, Juicy Benjamin. All right, very good. Then maybe we should
welcome.
actually introduce ourselves as well.
That's a
Juicy
idea.
Benjamin. Where you physically located in terms of time zone? Maybe so we can do a bit of a. We got Matt here from Cincinnati. I never knew that was actually a real thing. It sounds so fake, doesn't it? No, we're very much happy that you're real and here. Cool. Hello, Matt. Sweet. Yeah. So I'm Thor. Hello. And that's Alaister.
What do you do, Thor? What's your long job title?
Long job title. Well, it's just developer relations, maybe some developer experience. I mean, I actually just clocked my 1 year, which is, I mean, kind of, I've been working with the Supabase folks for like almost 2 years, I think. You can actually, maybe I should share my screen and show my Twitter. Tell everyone to follow me.
Get the early plug in.
I know. So this is the Supabase Twitter account. But yeah, you can follow Thor Web Dev. So that's me. And yeah, I recently. This is what I looked like 2 years ago. Isn't that crazy?
Crazy.
Yeah, I slimed down a bit. And I actually transferred most of my weight to Koppel. So
it is funny. You've evened out.
Not really. Don't tell him that. Koppel, if you're watching, no.
Yeah,
come back to Singapore. Yeah, and Inian just had his 2-year anniversary. That's pretty cool. I think you recently hang out with Inian in Bali.
Yep.
Alaister. That's nice. I think this one's cool. That was I think probably the highest commit in Supabase history so far.
Can you remember how many meters it was?
Yeah, that's a good question. Zugspitze. So this was our very first ever sort of offsite, 2,962 meters above sea level.
Wow.
Highest peak in Germany, but not in Europe, which is unfortunate. But you can walk between Germany and Austria on the top there. That's quite exciting.
Wow.
That was fun, right? Like, and that was now almost six months ago, right? Like, pretty much.
It was because I've just flipped over. I think when that picture was taken, I wasn't a part of Supabase, but then the next day I probably was. So
Yeah.
yeah, this
And there you
segment is,
are.
there I am. I've showed up. This segment is the work for Supabase segment. Come and join us.
Yeah.
Where's our careers page, Thor, seeing as we're talking about it?
It's a good question. Yeah, it does change every once in a while. But I had this. I just made this tweet this morning before I woke up. So this was you, I think, in February.
Yep, that would probably be about right.
So
I
you're
didn't see
like,
this.
oh, did a weekend project. Like a cheeky CC Thor, hey. And today we're doing a live stream. Today you're yeah. And so I think this is how it started actually on the live streams. You were just hanging out, solving all the problems. So
Yep.
yeah.
It's quite a. I wouldn't have guessed myself personally. It was, yeah.
How's it
I
been?
don't-
Maybe we do a quick review.
Oh, it's been great. I'm definitely not planning on going anywhere. You should have tagged me in that tweet though.
Take it what?
Like, tag me in the tweet so I can retweet it. I like it.
That's a
There
good
you go.
point. I kind
I
of tagged you now.
tagged me live, but no, yeah, I can't say enough good things other than visit careers.supabase or whatever it is, and
Yeah, I think it's now supabase.com/careers. Is that it?
oh, it's
No, that's
the
a
best way to
404.
find it is go to the homepage, scroll to the bottom, hit careers.
Ah,
Yeah,
Upset
but
Supabase. Yeah, I think we moved it to Greenhouse.
yeah,
Yeah, so you can hang out with couple and well, I mean, nowadays everyone is very physically distributed. So most of the hanging out. Oh, now I clicked stop sharing. That wasn't. It's obviously still early morning for me. Okay, there we are. I wanted to hide. Yeah, we got some stuff. I think we got some support engineer roles open. Yeah, Postgres core contributors. If you don't know, Supabase is built on top of Postgres. So that's what you could be doing. You could be contributing to Postgres while at Supabase. Because we use open source and we contribute to open source, and so that's what we do. Oh, Postgres is Haskell. See, I didn't know that.
yeah, it's
That's good to know.
quite the language. I've tried to learn it many times, but given up every time.
All right, but you're learning Japanese. I have my
Oh, have you
link
received
shared
yours? Of course, you're
today.
in Singapore.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Singapore.
actually, this is a sneak peek for everyone watching in the live stream. I don't know if this merch will be available, but it's the Japanese Supabase merch, which
I think
is
we have a store. Supabase.com.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if we've talked about it too publicly though. So let's see.
Oh yeah, that's a good point actually. I mean, to be fair, like the pricing, is a bit ridiculous. So like, I don't expect anyone. I mean, if you
Well,
want
there it
it,
is. Yeah.
if you have $1 million,
Well, this one's a bit more reasonable at 50.
yeah, $50. But yeah, another way is you can contribute in Japanese, I guess, or you can find the Mr. Tyler Schukert.
Yeah. Well, that being said, for those of you who've joined us for a couple of other happy hour streams and contributed to the projects we're working on, we have actually given away quite a few T-shirts. So send a PR, get a T-shirt. It seems like a pretty good deal to me.
Yeah, actually, that's true. Yeah, I was also thinking we should do some contributor badges or something. Like for folks who contributed to like showcase on their Twitter, on their GitHub, if they want to, something like that. Anyway, okay, what are we doing today?
What are we doing today? That's a good question.
Are we ready for content? I think we can. I still haven't finished my breakfast, so we can also do some. So he says there's someone saying I help update the docs for a T-shirt. Yeah, I mean, sure.
We
If
are
you
doing
find
docs
some
at the moment.
docs,
Yeah.
yeah, we're doing docs weeks. Now, I don't know how to pronounce your name, but you hit the nail on the head. So that is exactly what
Perfect segue. Well done. Thank you.
Brilliant. So that's exactly what we're doing. I'm looking forward to that. Yes. So we're actually in this live stream, probably we're going to go a little bit behind the scenes of exactly that. But so maybe we start off with this. So if you've seen hello English, if you've seen launch week, give us maybe a little what emoji can we do, like a hands in the air emoji,
lightning bolt, whatever you like.
Lightning
Give
bolt,
us an emoji.
yeah.
Give us an emoji of your choosing.
Yes, genau. Ja,
Ja,
genau.
genau.
Oh shoot! What happened to the
Have you been playing with CSS again, Thor?
No. I didn't do anything. It looks like we might need to wake up Johnny. Oh.
I think that might actually be a Chrome bug, because let me check. It's broken on mine as well. I think let's wake up
Maybe
Johnny.
That's where the alerts support one. I probably should turn off a Google sign-in example would be amazing. Okay. Let me actually quit my Slack before it gets out of hand here. And then maybe, sorry for anyone who's in the US and it's getting late. I just switched to light mode. Yes, so Auth Helpers support Supabase-js V2. So maybe we can, yes, we had George here. Thank you. Launch week. There we are. So what have we done? Maybe we can talk a little bit about this. And I think, Alaister, you've done a bunch of stuff on maybe we talk about the auth changes first.
Yeah. Well, I guess the best way to run through is just on this blog post. So any of you watching, if you want to go a bit more in depth, just go refer to this. Basically, the main few changes is a couple of renaming things, a couple of massaging of the API, if you will, like renaming sign in to sign in with password, splitting it up, making it a bit more explicit. And then the other thing is making the get session methods asynchronous. Yeah. So this will help solve some random sign out issues and also make it easier for like loading spinners on your site and that sort of thing. Yeah, I think.
And I think also the get session now basically refreshes if needed, right?
Yes. So that's the other thing. Like it wasn't actually a bug in the V1 version of the library. It was just like how it worked was while the session was refreshing, it would return null for that data object. So say you'd left the page and for over an hour and came back to it, a session refresh would be required on page load. But if you immediately called that .session method and tried to check for a session, it would be null while the session is refreshing. So your application logic might be like redirect back to the login page because the user's not signed in, but they are signed in reality. It's just refreshing in the background. So the workarounds were pretty, messy with like setting timeouts and stuff to make sure it was like refreshed before checking, which would slow down your app. But basically, the get session method bundles that all in together, so it nicely just handles it all for you, and makes sure the session is refreshed.
And then I think another thing is kind of this sort of the create client has a lot more options and sort of capabilities. Things kind of bundled, sort of your how do you call them? Settings, bips and bops. Yes, and I think that's all kind of in here now and sort of broken out. So you can have like your auth configuration when you create your client. I think another thing was, and we're going to look at that a little bit, is sort of the storage mechanism of the auth token, right? Sort of that can be. Is that actually? I'm not sure if that is really documented anywhere, or if that's more sort of for us and for the auth helpers to sort of.
I think it might be documented in the normal docs somewhere. But what Thor's talking about is you can, the reference docs. You can pass in a custom storage implementation. So that's what we'll be showing you with the Next.js helpers. We need to share the session between the client side and the server side. So instead of using local storage, we want to use a shared cookie, which will allow us to sync that session across both client and server side.
We have a couple of questions actually here. Is V2 live now? Is there a timeline? Yeah, so it's a release candidate right now. So you need to install it with, where is it? Where does it? Oh, here. Somehow, I think the formatting of the block is a bit off. We'll need to figure that out. Yeah, so you can install it by running supabase-js at RC. So it's still a release candidate version at the moment. So right now we're running a couple of what we call kind of Kaizen weeks, where we actually clean up a bunch of docs, and that's probably why you see like things in flux, like some testing, some docs, working on some issues that normally sort of fall off the back wagon a little bit. But then, yeah, so I think towards this week, next week, and then probably the week after, we're looking at promoting V2 into the release. Yeah.
So the answer is within weeks.
Within weeks.
I like it.
Yes.
Better than within months.
Although if you have enough weeks, then it can become months. I guess that's how time works. But yes, no, within weeks, less than a month. Okay.
But that's another good point.
Okay.
From in chat with React Native support. I'm glad you mentioned that, because it is React Native. We had a lot of issues with that same thing with the loading, the login page flashing up before, even if the user was already logged in. But yeah, the new get session method kind of consolidates all of those problems away into one method, handles them for you. So yep, works much nicer with React Native, and hopefully Next.js, as we will soon show you with the auth helpers.
Yeah. Cool. Then maybe we can jump into. Should we look at the example then? Maybe.
Yeah.
So actually, this is probably, to give you some fun fact, this is probably the first Supabase example the first actual public one. I tested out kind of when I first heard about Supabase, tested it out myself. But then this is when I wasn't, yet part of the Supabase team. I just built kind of this subscription payment starter actually when I was at Stripe. So obviously it uses Stripe. And this is sort of a nice one that I come back to just kind of testing the auth helpers, any sort of updates and things. And so if you need kind of like a reference of, for example, using the auth helpers, or looking at what the migration looks like. So I can put that in here. So that's sort of the V2 migration, or auth helpers. Auth helpers won't be V2, but the migration of I think it will be 030 maybe, something like that. And so you can see kind of some of the differences here. I think one difference. So one thing I had introduced in the auth helpers was kind of all these sort of backend routes, and sort of using that instead of kind of the JavaScript things. But I think we kind of talked about this, and actually it is better to use sort of the client method. So that is removed. So basically what you do is just you use the Supabase client, and here, like, you can get the Supabase client from kind of your session context, and then you can just use that to sign out, and then you would say like root or push sign in,
Normal, yeah.
or what have you. You can see here, so we're working off. Oh, so maybe it's actually 0.4 for the Next.js. We'll see.
Yeah, I got a bit happy with the version changing and changed some things I wasn't supposed to, because I just saw a version number and wanted to increment it. But little did I know, it incremented it for me. So bit of a double increment there.
Yeah. And then I think one sort of difference maybe is so previously I was instantiating the Supabase client and just kind of giving that to you. I think now we have the create browser Supabase client. Can you please zoom in? Yes, sorry. Okay, is that better?
It's the YouTube compression. It makes it difficult to see small text.
No, for sure.
Or the StreamYard compression.
Yeah, so create browser Supabase client. Yeah, I think there's one thing basically if we look into this, and that's actually something where I'm working on right now. When you're generating the types, so you can use the Supabase CLI to generate your types, and I actually have I can show you what that looks like in here. So this is the Next.js subscription payments example. And so I have my Supabase in there, and I can show you the schema. So like I have the schema in there. So basically we have like a table with our users. We're tracking kind of all the users, and we have them referenced to the auth users table, which is the schema that the go-to server uses for authentication. So you have all your users actually within your own database. So that's nice. And then we're just enriching it with some information from here, in this case, the GitHub OAuth. So you get like a avatar URL, and then also the billing address and the payment methods coming from Stripe. So as we kind of get that information, we fill that in on our users table. And then obviously we have kind of the row level security, where we make sure actually creating a user is restricted. So that's only done on the server side, but then only the own user can view their own user data and can update their own user data. So that's how we're kind of locking that down.
And I will say, if you want to, if you're like looking at this and going, what's the policy or whatever, we're going to keep it a bit more advanced in this stream, I think, because it is a kind of behind the scenes look. But I can recommend going back to pretty much any one of the previous happy hours, pick one at random, because I think almost every time we touch on RLS and
oh, I think we lost your audio there.
Oh, are we back?
Oh, yeah, we're back.
Yeah,
we're back.
Okay. I can't touch the cable on the mic, otherwise it's a very loose connection. So I'll just stand, sit here like this. Yeah,
very good. Yeah, and then I think this trigger is, I think RLS and probably triggers, and I mean, so that's the thing with Supabase, like you get like the whole power of Postgres, but also that means that if you're not necessarily used to Postgres or have the Postgres knowledge, then some of it can be don't touch this.
I'm not moving. I'm sitting completely still.
It can be a bit confusing. So yeah, we're working on kind of making RLS and that a bit more accessible. So yeah, it's quite powerful if you know, but sometimes it's a bit cheeky. So for example, like I think last time I spent like 10 minutes just figuring out the insert rule syntax because it is slightly different, which has like this insert with check or something. And
Instead of
for the life of me, I couldn't remember it anyway. Okay. So, and then we have
the docs.
yeah, and then we have a customer. So this is basically just a mapping table for our auth users and Stripe customer IDs. So that's what we use to like figure out, okay, for this signed in user, if we need to like create a payment link to sign them up for the subscription. So that's exactly what we use there. We kind of looked that up. Yeah, maybe we can actually look at, if we look at, where do we have create checkout session? Checkout session is what it's called. And so you can see here we're using this with API auth, and we can create a checkout session. And so now this is also a change, and where we're basically just putting the Supabase server client injecting that into your with auth API method. So here your create checkout session is your API route. You have the request, response, and then the Supabase server client. And you can basically then just say Supabase auth get user, which will give you the authenticated user. Yeah, basically the currently logged in user, if any. And so this is kind of the nice thing where, you know, like the checkout session API route is a server-side API route, but you can use kind of this server client as you're used to get the authenticated user, even on the server. And the way we're doing that, we can look at that as well as we're having a cookie. And the cookie is basically the storage mechanism for our JWT. So, you know, in some scenarios, so for example, if you don't have any server, then, you know, you'd use the local storage, for example, to store the JWT. But so in this case, because, you know, obviously local storage can't be accessed on the server, so we're storing it in a cookie, and then the with auth API with API auth basically makes sure that a user is signed in. So obviously it only makes sense to call this route when we have a user signed in, and then we get the user, and then what we do is we create or retrieve customer. So in this case where they don't actually have, and so you can see this here, this is a Supabase admin method. So I'm calling this actually with my service role key. So you can see that here. And so I can create the customer record, which is a secure server-side only sort of method. And then where do we have it? So here, create or retrieve customer. What we're doing is basically based on the UID of the user that is signed in, we basically try to get their Stripe customer ID. So you can see that here. And so this is the nice thing with the new Supabase-js V2. So we have our generated types here in the types DB. Oh yeah, I think that's actually what I wanted to show originally.
Well,
so yeah.
No, well, I'll just say the last series we did, if you're interested in like the specifics, I'm going to give a plug back to the previous season of the Happy Hour streams again, which is we basically went through and implemented all of this Stripe specific code to handle the payments and stuff. So if you want to watch that, there's a playlist on the Supabase YouTube channel called Getting Sassy with Stripe. There's probably like 20 hours of us doing this. But what this is, what we had to do in that stream as well was manually implement the auth stuff. But as Thor was showing, the auth helpers give you those little helpers like with API auth or whatever. So I'd say if you want to do this for yourself, I'd look at the Stripe example, the Stripe payments example that Thor was just showing, because it's kind of the proper way of handling Supabase authorization with Next.js. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So exactly. So this is the difference with V2 and with the CLI. So you can generate your database types, and you can see here, the types are different for insert, for update, and most of that is kind of happening behind the scenes. So you're just using the create client, the Supabase client. So for example here, and you're just feeding. So this is different now. You can feed the top level generated types into your client, and then basically anytime you do an operation here. So for example, here I just say, my Supabase client from products, upsert product data, and then it would know, kind of what data to. So like if you were to do this, and then you can do like type suggestions. You have kind of the autocomplete filled in from like the types that sort of the product data, for example.
Very nice.
So that is one there, but then so as well here, obviously when you do like a select operation, so you can see we're selecting the Stripe customer ID, and the data object then is typed where we know, and so the Stripe customer ID is nullable, so it can be a string or it can be null. And so then we're checking, okay, either do we have an error or we don't have a Stripe customer ID, because then that means we don't have any customer record found for this user. And so we need to create some customer data. Well, basically, we're just creating a new customer object in Stripe, and then we're inserting that. And so again, the insert operation can only be done with this admin client with our service role key on the server side. So that is what's happening there. Create or retrieve customer. We're inserting here, and again here you can see this is all typed from the customers. We know, okay, ID needs to be a string, Stripe customer ID needs to be a string, and then the nice thing is, of course, Stripe is also the Stripe libraries are also typed, and so you get kind of that type safety there. And so that's kind of how you do the create checkout session. So this is exactly sort of the use case you have for something like with API auth. Pretty much exactly the same for creating the portal link. It only makes sense to create a portal link for someone who is logged in, and then so you have this with API auth. You get your Supabase server client. You can then just do auth get user, and and so maybe we can actually run this and maybe have a quick look at what it does. Yarn dev. Let's see.
Yeah, we should say as well that Supabase server client that's given to you from the with API auth helper is in the context of the user that requested it. So any requests you make via that Supabase server client will automatically be set with the correct authorization header and stuff like that to make it look like it's being sent from that user.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, there we are. Okay, so it actually, so this is exactly where the loading state, I should probably put a spinner, but it actually signed me in, I think from, let's see, application. Yeah, so you can see here we have a cookie Supabase auth token, and I believe that's our JWT. And so that's kind of our storage mechanism basically for auth. And if we do, we can do sign out, and then Okay, then we get redirected. Okay, the sign out is a bit slow, so we need to probably figure out how to.
You can do the router push first, then call sign out.
Yeah, could do that. Just means then you would probably get bounced back because.
Oh, do you have?
Sign in.
I see.
So like when I'm signed in, yeah. Well, the thing is that I'm here in Singapore, and I think the server is in the US, and so maybe that might be where it's coming from. But so yeah, what we can do is sign in with GitHub, for example. I hope I've set the return URL to go back to localhost. We'll see. Otherwise, we'll get back to our
We'll end up
deployed
on some random website.
Nope.
Nice.
There we are. And so yeah, so what takes a bit of a while here, we can look at that as well, is so basically anytime someone signs in, we're fetching their data. So like their subscription data to know like what they're subscribed to. And then we can see, so here, this account root as well. We can look at pages, not API, but account. So this one is using with page auth, which comes from the auth helpers. And so we can see here, we're basically just saying get server-side props with page auth. And we're saying redirect to sign in. Okay. So this is just a card component. We can ignore this. So this is our auth mechanism. So this is kind of all we have to do to make sure that whoever comes onto this page is logged in. And what we can do is we can say, okay, if they are not logged in, we want to redirect them to sign in. There is an option here, I think, where we can say auth required. So we could say auth required false, which would actually mean that you can visit the page even if you're not logged in. And then it just means that the user prop on our page will be null. Right. So that was actually one of the feedback we got, that people want to basically do this to just check, sort of server-side rendering. Is there a user or not? But they don't want to necessarily redirect off. But so in our case, if you're not signed in, you shouldn't be seeing the account page. And so in that case, we redirect you to that. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the mechanism. And then, yeah, we have the middleware auth. Maybe we can show that on here. We have an example. So this is now the auth helpers thing. And we can look at examples, Next.js. And so since Next.js version 12.2, where are we? Pages? No, not pages. Sorry. Since 2.2, you have a top-level middleware, and then you pass a config with a matcher, where I think you have you can match kind of routes based on sort of with asterisks and kind of
yeah. Well,
matcher.
I think before you had to match routes by placing the middleware like somewhere in your pages folder structure, right? So this is a bit more general. You can kind of do kind of fancy matches as well and stuff like that.
Yeah. And so I think this was also a contribution by the community, sort of this auth guard, where they actually wanted to say, for example, if it's like a Gmail user, then they are permitted, or, obviously you would want to do some other things. But I also thought, I don't know, I want to hear what you think about this, but I also put the Supabase client in this method, which would mean you could potentially just do like a fetch operation in there as well, I guess.
I'm into it.
So the only thing, and maybe here, okay. Should we pause here a little bit? So we have with Auth API, we have with page auth, we have with middleware auth.
One
So
thing
these
I
are kind
will
of, yeah.
mention about the with middleware auth as well as an improvement we've made from the previous with middleware auth. If you were using it and you had with page auth, it would double refresh because we weren't communicating, because I think Vercel at the time didn't send over the cookies and stuff from middleware to the API functions, but now they do. So we've updated the auth helpers to handle that use case. So previously, if you had middleware auth and with page auth, it would refresh in the middleware auth or do the check in the middleware auth, and then also refresh and do the check in the with page auth. But now the with page auth will refer back to whether there's already been a middleware auth refresh done.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, this is the challenge with all the frameworks. They all work a little differently, and so you need yeah. Cool. Okay, so let's see. Oh, okay, yeah. So these are kind of the server side auth mechanisms, right? Like with API auth, with page auth, with middleware auth. And so these are all kind of within the Auth Helpers Next.js. And then to complete that, we have kind of these, where are we? Here, we have the session context provider. I think previously we called it the user provider. So if you look into the migration here, so it used to be the user provider. Now it's the session context provider, and you feed the session context provider a Supabase client. And what it does is actually track the session as well as the user state kind of throughout your application. So by wrapping your application into this, and here it's a bit funny because so this my user context provider is actually wrapping, and I'm still working on migrating everything. Is wrapping sort of the session context provider, and the reason for that is because I need more information than just the user object. I also need their user details from the database, and then their subscription details. And maybe there's a better way of doing this, but basically what I'm doing is, anytime we have a user and we're not loading data, we don't have any user details and any subscription fetched yet, then we go off and we actually fetch our user details. And yeah, so this is basically what's happening when you're logging in. It's loading all that information, and then later, as you navigate between pages, of course, the state is being kept, so you're not fetching there. But yeah, so basically on that, when that user changes, we're fetching the information from the database. Do you think that's yeah?
Yep.
Do you think
I like it? It's probably the best way of doing it. The only thing I'd update is show a loading spinner while it's loading in.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Right now, it's no spinner. It's just, I think. Let me see what happens. We could probably go to the network section and see the requests happening. Yeah, so we have like our subscription select, our user select, and then once all that finishes, we see the tier we're subscribed to, and then we can go here. We see this is me. This is my GitHub user, And then I can click and open the customer portal. And you can see exactly, the create portal link that's using the authentication here. It's finding my Stripe customer. It's doing, all that. And then when I cancel a plan, actually what happens in the background, Stripe sends a webhook. And so as we go back then to the page, obviously now we're refetching the data because we were offsite. And so now you can see that my plan isn't there anymore. So the webhook, maybe that's actually a good thing to look at.
Well, we set up that whole webhook in the last series, believe it or not. I think episode 19, maybe. I'd guess.
Yeah, that's cool.
And we actually just referred to your example, so.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice.
It's a good example.
It's basically, I think one thing that does always change was this year. Like you need to say body parser false to get like the raw.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you're deploying it as a Next.js API endpoint, that is the case. But we deployed it as a Supabase edge function.
Nice. When I created this, a Supabase edge function didn't exist.
Functions.
Yeah. Sweet. Yeah. No, you use the edge functions example on the.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
But I think it's pretty similar.
Yeah. I mean, it really is just getting all the webhooks, kind of switching, and then basically, upsert product, upsert price. So that's when like pricing information is changed. But then we have here the manage subscription status change. And so here we're kind of working the other way around, where we basically get, and that's exactly why we have that mapping table, where we get the customer ID. And then from the customer ID, we need to find our UID, right? So that's exactly kind of the mapping table working the other way. Rather than having the auth state and needing to find the Stripe customer ID, we now have the Stripe customer ID and we need to find the auth UID. And then once we have that, we can then update kind of all the subscription data. One thing I also learned is now that you should actually be sending date as ISO strings. So and it makes sense, because we're working through a REST API, JSON does not have any date type, right? So it has only strings. So ideally, when you're sending types, you want to send them as ISO strings. And you will also get them back as ISO strings. We're evaluating if maybe in V3, already working on V3, if we should be doing a conversion there within the JavaScript client. But we'll see. Yeah, I think that's that. Anything else you wanted to look at the application? Otherwise, we can dive a little bit under the hood.
Let's go under the hood, behind the scenes. Pull back the curtain.
Pull back the curtain. Are there any questions? Otherwise, let's do a quick water break. Just drinking.
We'll take even general questions about the Auth Helpers if you haven't seen them before.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, that's a good point. Where can we find the Auth Helpers, Thor?
That's a good question. So I think we can just Google Auth Helpers. Yes, a collection of framework-specific Auth Helpers. Shouldn't have shown that. No, but I think it's that's gone. With the update, it's gonna get better. Yeah, thanks to all the contributors as well. Very, very much appreciated. 22. Wow. Okay.
Do I not appear in here yet because I haven't? My stuff hasn't been merged. That's so sad.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
Sounds real. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess not.
Unlucky.
All right. Yes. There we are. Maybe I should put that in the chat actually. Okay, let's dive in behind the scenes a little bit, and you can see some decisions being made as well. So one thing, okay, what do we? Let's
Bit of
maybe
a
let's
build
start
in
from
public.
scratch. Yes, hashtag build in public.
Hashtag build in public.
Oh, what was this? I think I was just updating the RC to the latest version. So Next.js, I'm working on the migration guide. But so maybe let's start in the index. So actually, one thing I was doing is like exporting. Do you think there's any other types that users need? Session user and the Supabase client type?
Should they not be just importing those from supabase-js themselves?
Yeah, I was thinking about that, but the thing is that potentially with the version there could be a discrepancy, no?
Then the whole library should break. We should be having a proper peer dependency
Do we
set up
have
saying
that?
use this version. Or dev dependencies. Maybe just search peer dependencies in the whole project, because it might be some weird turbo repo thing. Transitive peer dependencies. What is that about?
Yeah,
Indeed.
so I guess we don't have them. So that's a good point.
Yeah, I think we should just specify peer dependency of whatever version we're looking for.
But I think there was some. Okay, I need to check with Andrew on that, because I think I remember he had some. Was there some issue with that?
Yeah, like I said, I went version number happy bumping things because I didn't know how Andrew's setup worked. So I'll definitely defer to him on that one.
Okay, cool. Yeah, but so basically, we have our middleware with page auth, with API auth. Actually, not sure what the logger does. I guess it logs.
Yeah, I didn't put it there.
Yeah, no, I didn't either. So I think one thing. So like creating the client. So now, because we have this typing, we sort of need to add the type. So that's kind of one thing that we needed to do. And then basically when we create the browser Supabase client, we then pass on the type and the schema. So that's kind of throughout your application. So you remember when you're creating your application, you wrap it in that session context provider, and you're passing that create Supabase client, and you can pass here your database types, your generated types. So I'm still working on that to the client, and then when you use the session context and get the Supabase client later on, you have the types and everything kind of in there. So that's the idea. So we have a Supabase browser client. So maybe we can actually look at that. Maybe not the dist, but the Supabase browser. So we can see kind of the cookie options. By default, we have like the Supabase auth token. By default, I think we set it valid to 1 year. And then I think what's the interesting thing here is sort of the storage mechanism, right? So we can pass the storage key, and the storage key is the name of the cookie.
Yeah, so in this case, the storage key isn't too necessary. I think I was just passing it because it was required, but it's essentially the thing that comes through to like get item, where it says key there, or set item key. That's all that comes through. But as you can see, we're not using it because maybe we are using it somewhere. I don't remember. We are for the cookie name. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, here, right?
Yeah.
Key. Yes. Yeah, and so basically it's just we're providing kind of a custom storage mechanism, which then rather than storing the session in the JWT, actually stores it in the cookie so that we can access its server side. And then maybe quick look at the server client. So this is a bit different here. So you basically, I think your idea was to abstract this away for any. So kudos, actually, Alaister has set up these abstractions to basically make this work with kind of implementable with any sort of framework, and you just need to provide sort of the access. How do you access the header? How do you access the request header, the response header? How do you set a header? And then using these, you're basically implementing, again, oh no, what are you?
No,
you're
right.
Storage? Yes.
It is essentially the same thing. It's just how we read the storage. So in the context of the browser, we have the document.cookie object. We can read it directly out of there. But on the server, the cookie is stored in a header, right? If you think about it in a weird kind of way. So we're reading it out of the header instead of document.cookie because document.cookie doesn't exist on the server.
Yeah, and so the current session is basically coming out of the request header. So using kind of the methods. Yeah, that makes sense. And then, we're just checking secure environment, current session. And so the scenario here is that, because so for example, if we're getting so maybe we can actually jump into the implementation of maybe the with Auth API. And so I think this is actually something I wanted to get your, because we return the Supabase client here, and we want to type it, right? And so, what do you think? I was thinking, if we just let them add the types at the with Auth API, and then just create a typed client.
That is exactly how I would do it. No comments.
Okay. And then one thing is actually I saw someone in the community opened a request to say they also want to type the response type of the Next API handler.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of put that in there as well. Yeah. And then we can look at this here. So we're creating the server Supabase client. And so now we're basically just providing the methods to access the headers in basically a Next.js way. So this is a Next API request, and then we can access the header like this. For the response, we can do the same. Oh no, so this is interesting. Request doesn't have a get header method, but response does have a get header method. Is that correct?
Apparently, unless I was, pressing random buttons, but I believe that is the case.
Yeah.
So I think an interesting thing to show here is that with API auth, you can see we have to have these like specific ways of accessing their request and response headers. But if you just jump over to the middleware example to kind of compare.
Oh yeah, the middleware has different. Oh, because that it's. Oh yeah, I actually need to figure this one out because the typing.
Yeah, we can come back to it. Just look at the where we pass in the get. Yeah, so
yeah, so
here
here
you can see
it's
it's a much more
different.
consistent interface.
But that's because it's actually Cloudflare, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's just a Cloudflare worker. But it's interesting. So here's the next request, whereas the other one is a next API request. And then, yeah, anyway, let's not get into that. But yeah, and so I think this is actually the main reason we're building the auth helpers because, obviously, as a developer wanting to build a Next.js application, you don't want to deal with all that.
Yeah, it was a pain.
Okay. Yes, so we have that. And then, yeah, what I thought so is basically we have the create browser supervised client. I was thinking, okay, let's also, provide a server supervised client. Like, even though we're handing it out. But yeah, this is actually a good question. So alternatively, what we could do is rather than letting them type the with API auth, we could ask them to create a server client and pass it in.
Yeah, but they still have to pass it, right? So I don't know. I feel like it might be nicer if we create it for them. Like, why do we need the extra call?
The extra call? Oh yeah, actually one question I had. So when we instantiate it like this, we don't need to do we need to call get session to like get the in the server context?
We need to do that to refresh the token if it is needed, right?
Yeah, so that's kind of the question for the create server Supabase client. Should it be async and should it be calling get session?
I like that it's like abstracted away, I think, because you might not, I don't know, you might just want the server-side client. You might not refresh the session.
But so let's say you're creating that server client to say fetch some data. What potentially could happen is that you're fetching the data and you're not getting any data back because the token is expired. Could that happen?
Well, that's what V2 solves for is, right? Because on that data call, it under the hood will call get session.
But fabulous. Okay.
The downside of calling get session every time in there is if I am conditionally making a call for my data, it will still make that like HTTP request where if I hit the case where I don't request the data, I don't want it to make any calls. Like that's wasted work, wasted time, right? So I think it's nice if we handle.
No, that's good then.
Yeah.
So I think that was another improvement in V2 that actually, because this could be the case, right? Like if my token hadn't been refreshed and it might have just expired and I made a request to fetch some data, I might have not gotten any data back, or I might have gotten expired.
It's we basically, well, it was basically on the end user. Like it did work in V1, but you had to handle making sure you didn't send any Supabase requests before the token was known to be good.
Refreshed.
Refreshed. So now we handle that for you as well. But before, you'd have to have like a big global loading spinner and wait for the session to be refreshed and then send all your requests. This, you can just, throw your requests off into the ether and know that they'll be sent with a good token.
Cool. Yeah, then I think we're pretty aligned on all the things, which is nice. This is actually the main reason I do these live streams with Alaister. Is I need his time, and everyone tells me, no, Alaister should be working on the dashboard. I'm like, but the auth helpers are so important.
I keep getting told off.
And so this is like our little Switzerland here in the live stream.
I've been approved to do the happy hour stream, so call it a happy hour. No, it's build in public, Thor. # build in public.
# build in public. Actually, I was wondering here, and I was complaining about accessors are only available when targeting ECMAScript 5 and higher. But that's, I guess we could fix that by setting a target in the tsconfig.
Yeah, what are we targeting?
That's the question. Like, but ECMAScript 5, that's pretty, isn't that pretty old? So like that should be safe enough, no?
Yeah, that seems like an odd error. Why do we even need that getter there? What's that actually doing?
I'm not sure. I didn't put that there.
Can we
no
git
permission
blame?
error. Oh, it's a good question. Yeah.
Do you not have? Oh, what's the? Here we go. Hot dev tips. The extension git lens installed. Install git lens.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
okay. 1 second. I need to. There's someone at the door. Give me 1 second, and you can you do the git blame real quick?
Yep. All right. I will. I don't have control over the screen or anything, but that's fine.
You can share your screen.
I can share my screen. Okay, but that's okay. Let's see. I don't have anything open anyway, so we'll just have to wait while Thor gets his package. Maybe everyone can speculate in the comments what he's got delivered. Okay. Let me open up. What is this? Auth Helpers. Haven't looked at those in a while. Vikram saying, I can't click on the comments either and bring them up. Sorry, so I'll just read them out. But Vikram saying GitLens tells me too much. Well, yes, it does. I always have it to like gone. I always look at the GitLens and go, oh, who's done this? This is awful. And then it turns out to be me.
Yeah. No, so there's a, what is it called? Is there an integration?
No, yeah, just install GitLens. I'm going to blow your mind. It'll take like 1 second.
Okay. I think I used to have it, but I didn't like it because it was very noisy. Or it told me about, wait, what is it called? Git?
No E.
Oh.
No.
Lens.
Yeah. Git lens, like a lens.
Git Kraken. Who's Git Kraken? Are they siphoning off all our data?
Git Kraken, they make that software that does the thing with Git right there. Yeah, you're done. You can close out of it now.
Okay.
But now if you go onto that line.
Where was it? Wait. No. Did I close the file accidentally? Maybe?
And then, click on the this.constructor.name.
This?
Yeah, but go to that specific line. Click on line 14, but like not the number. Just go 1 line down. See, it's always me. It was me that did it.
It was you.
I have no memory of doing it. No memory of adding that, but I was just joking about it being me, but yeah, of course it was me.
I guess it was you. Okay, how do I close this now?
You push escape. I don't know.
Ah, very good. Yeah.
I never open up that view. I just like it for the on the lines of code to see who wrote the line of code.
So I think this is no permission error. Is that like
Is that even in use still? If you just like search the code?
Yes. It is this one here, auth guard is permitted. So, but I think you didn't originally put in the auth guard, right? So I think it might not have been you. You might have just copied it.
I think here's the way we fix the error. Can you go back to the no permission error class? And we're just going to delete the getter because I'm convinced you don't need it. Like get name, remove that whole method. Who needs it? Like
this constructed name.
Just like the whole function. Yeah, just.
You sure?
Yeah, why not? Why not? Because if you call .name on a method on an instance of a class, it will give you back that name thing class. Actually, maybe let me where was I doing this? Because we can set the name more explicitly, because I think we just need it to return no permissions error, but I think that should be okay.
Cool. And then the other thing, my Typescript. So basically I need the database and schema name up here. So I was thinking I probably, if I copy this out and just move it as a definition up, is that what I would do?
You still have to do generics and stuff. Like.
No, but like if I do it here.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be much shorter, to be honest.
Not shorter. It just means that I can use it throughout, no? But then how?
Well, that's what I mean. You still need to pass in the generics. So you have to say type, my type, and then in brackets, schema name, angle brackets.
Oh, gee, what?
Like, just call it something, call it my type, call it whatever, just something. My type equals.
My type?
Why not? Equals. See, now we don't have access to schema name, so we still need to take schema name as a parameter. So my type, angle bracket, schema name.
Wait. I want to create the type schema name, no?
Yeah, but it's dynamic. It relies on an argument via a type parameter. So we'll always need, even if you pull it out into a type, it still needs the variable. Yeah.
Right. But okay, so how do I even define this?
Because, that's what I'm saying. You need angle brackets. That's all I'm saying.
Just around what?
So
around this?
No, so go type my type, and then right after my type, angle brackets, and then schema name.
Just like
you still need the equals though.
Like an interface.
They're curly brackets.
Okay, sorry, you're saying
angle brackets.
What is angle? Is that an angle bracket?
Like greater than, less than, greater than.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
What are they called?
An alligator.
Alligator? No, not around them. Right after my type, opening and closing. So the equals are still there.
Where's the equals?
Go back to where you started, and then we'll.
Okay, I started here.
Yeah, but get rid of that angle bracket there.
This
one on the left side of the equals. Type my type, the less than schema name greater than equals schema name extends to I want schema name in there.
So here?
Yeah. And then close that up.
Where do I close it? Here?
Yeah.
The schema name is not defined, is it?
Well, that's what it
Oh,
comes
this
through
is...
every time because it's a parameter. It's dynamic. It's whenever you set up the thing.
But then...
And also database, we need to database is also a parameter. So my type less than
name.
database. Yeah. And maybe equals
then...
any or whatever on the database again.
Okay. But I mean, we're trying to define the schema name. So where? So we can't put in the schema name, can we?
I think.
Oh, so what you're saying is
it's not going to be much shorter. I just define it inline. I think it's fine.
Well, but the problem is we need it in multiple places.
So Control-C, Control-V work really well. That would be my solution.
Because I had it. Fucking TypeScript. Yeah, so I have it in here. Yeah. Or should I just make this a function instead of a const? And then have everything like in one place? Because like breaking it out, it doesn't really have...
Whenever I do TypeScript stuff, I need multiple hours just to like stare at it because who knows what's going on. Oh, by the way, just let's quickly circle back around to the no permissions error thing. I only gave you half a fix. Under super message, do this.name equals and then the no permissions error as a string.
This one.
Yeah.
String.
And as a string, yeah. So before we were like using some JavaScript magic with the getter to like grab out the constructor's name somehow, but now we're just like setting it explicitly, which I think is better.
Yeah, that's actually a good point, because now if you were to get the name, you should just get
exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Okay.
No getter needed, right?
I think so, right? So because it is a class which has
it is a class
get name. Okay, let me see. So we have... but what is this constructor?
Well, I think that will return no permissions error, and I think it's equivalent.
Okay.
And it fixes that error. So let's call it good.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if
it's my favorite type of bug fixing is just like hope. Just hope it works. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of that in Okay, but so now let me see if I why is this even a const and not just a function? It could just be a function, no? A named function.
Sure. What is the... I mean, you could do.
Okay, let me see.
I've just noticed it's kind of upsetting me that type starts with a lowercase w. Export type with middleware off.
Middleware off.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so let's maybe just... Okay, where is this?
But what will turning it into a function give you?
Well, because then you have everything in one place. So I would just type the options within... I guess I could just do that. Let me see. because the whole thing it's complaining here is that it doesn't.
Oh, I see.
So
I see.
if we remove,
Yeah, you don't need a function to do that. You
this
can just like,
and then say
yeah, just replace it in there.
in here.
Look at that,
And
lovely.
so now,
And then
like, why is that? Why is that even a type?
I don't know. Delete it. Just say it returns next middleware. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Delete that one.
Yes. So, and then where's our brackets? Just this, no?
Yep. Lovely.
I mean, it's not very readable, but
who needs readable when you can have TypeScript happy? That's all we live for as developers.
All we live
developers is the type checker happiness, right?
Yes. Okay, so let's build that. PNPM builds. Repo. Shout out to Jared. If you saw his announcement yesterday.
What was his announcement?
I think he's now head of frameworks and dev tools at Vercel. I mean, I guess that's what he's been doing anyway, right? So.
Wow. Well, yeah. I won't mention how the front end team and Johnny in particular was feeling about Turbo Repo yesterday.
Maybe don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, at TS no check, easy fix. It sounds like this is John.
Yeah,
oh, Jonathan. Yeah,
I think
this is John's favorite fix.
How does John spell his name though? Is it Jonoth? It's an O, right? Jonathan.
Does he even have a full name, or is he just John?
No, he's definitely a Jonathan with an O.
Oh, I see.
I'm thinking.
Interesting.
You can call him that when you're upset with him, like his
Jonathan.
Okay, Jonathan, maybe. I don't know. I have to ask him.
Okay, and so now we've built everything. 5 successful. I mean, that's what we like to see.
Love the green.
And then we can do a PNPM dev to like spin everything up, which is, yeah, it's the magic that Andrew makes. And so now, there we are. Look at that. But what we actually want to, okay, let's log out first. And what we actually want to do is sign in. Yeah, let's do GitHub with scopes. There we are. And so the cool thing with GitHub with scopes, I don't know if people seen that. Should we make that a fun fact? So let's look at the examples, Next.js, and then what is it called? Pages.
What are you looking for?
Actually, am I looking for the index? GitHub with scopes. Oh, why is it complaining here?
Auth UI. Has Auth UI been updated for V2?
Close channel, unsubscribe channel.
Version mismatch. Different RC versions, perhaps.
That could be.
Between Auth UI and the Auth Helpers. A problem which will go away once we release V2. But
yes.
And add the peer dependencies.
Yes. Yeah, I think that might be it. Okay. Anyway, so GitHub with scopes, you can provide provider, GitHub, and then scopes repo. So I want to be able to read all the repos. And so now what I do in the example here, GitHub provider token, is in my get server side props, I can do. Oh no, am I checking? I don't actually need to do that, do I? Why am I doing that?
You don't need to do that because you have the redirect to. So
yeah, right. That's built in.
It's built in.
If no session.
Let's try removing it and see what happens.
Yeah.
Try removing it and then opening up in an incognito tab.
Oh, because I want to provide a token.
Yeah, makes sense.
Ah,
you do need it.
We do need it.
Like I said all along, you need it.
But the provided. Oh, okay. Unless we. Oh yeah, no, because you want the session. Yeah, this makes sense. Okay, there we are. And because once you have the provided token, you can actually fetch all the repos from GitHub with the user ID as well. You can get it from the user metadata username. Sweet. I'm a bit lost as to what's happening. Yeah. Yeah, aren't we all, Jonathan? Aren't we all?
Yeah, Jonathan, I think what we're doing at the moment is actually working on the internals of the auth helpers. So don't worry. You only need to worry about the higher level things that the auth helpers are actually providing you.
Unless you want to contribute to.
Unless you want to contribute, which we love. We love a good contributor.
But so the reason we wanted to test the middleware, right?
Did we? I don't know.
So middleware protected, authenticated. That looks good. But I think the case that we actually wanted to test was this no permission error. And so the way we can test this,
open it incognito.
If the auth guard, no. So for example, it's the whole auth guard thing, right?
Oh,
that's where it's used. So basically, right now our auth guard, if we look at this, let me example. Where's my example? Middleware protected. Oh yeah, it's just this where we say, oh yeah, the way middleware works now is we have a top level. Okay, where are we? Top level middleware.
There it is.
Oh, why is this complaining? Object is possibly undefined. Is it?
Is it?
Oh, I guess so.
Well, hang on. Let's think about this. If there is a redirect to supplied above, if redirect to is there, then it
should exist.
It should exist. But if redirect to is not supplied, then it might be option if auth required is set to false. Is auth required an option here?
I don't think so.
Well, then it should just be required if auth required is not an option. Yeah.
So what do we do if redirect to is... Wait, we have two redirects? Oh, this redirect to is the auth guard redirect.
Yep.
To... oh, it's not required because it defaults to just...
the home page.
Yeah.
Where are we calling?
So we're getting the user. Where are we getting the user? Come on, auth. Here, session.user. But it says it's a user.
Maybe it's just because a session doesn't always have a user.
But then
You-
it would say user null, no? Like or null, like here.
Well, the type
Session or null.
Can you just command click on session there and see what the type it takes you to is?
Oh, right.
It doesn't take you to the type definition.
No, I clicked on the wrong.
To go try go.
Wait, where? Session. Here. Yeah, user is user.
And command click through to user. And is user, it's just the interface, right?
Yeah. It shouldn't be null.
Shouldn't be null.
It also doesn't say it could be null.
Is it email that's null?
Oh, undefined.
Email is undefined. Yeah, the user might not always have an email. That makes sense because if they sign in with the phone auth, right, they won't have an email.
Oh, yeah, true.
Makes sense.
Makes sense indeed. Okay, so let's actually maybe log in with a non-Gmail address. So I think I have my, oh, what happened there? My trusted tester 12, based out of Germany. And then yes. Okay, so now in this case, we should have
nice.
Insufficient permission. Okay, so redirected from, so I think that's working.
Looks to be working to me.
Cool. Okay. So yeah, I think that's good.
PR it up.
Yeah, actually. Okay, so still need to get the migration guide going. Let me just actually quickly rebuild, make sure that everything is building. Yes, very good. Oh, Turbo updated itself. Okay. So we need that one.
We need that one.
This one. This one, still working on it. So let's not.
That one.
That one. This one, no, still working on that. This one, we don't actually. I think these we actually just don't touch.
Yeah, see, that's what I did wrong. I shouldn't have touched those.
No, but these are specifically just for the user agent.
Oh,
what you touched was this one. This one no touch because that's on CI. We can actually go through the CI flow now, which is good.
Yeah, cool. No, I every version I saw, I just wanted to bump it. It's just, you know.
I mean, yeah, that's what you want, right? Like,
it's because this one uses some like different CI to all of our other packages, and in the other packages they're all just locked at 0. So you just leave them, and then they get, you know, they don't actually get set in the code. They get set like on the release.
Yeah, but that's because we're using a different build.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I thought this one, because I saw the version in code, I was like, oh, got to bump it. But no.
Okay. With page auth, yes. So we have the typing, response types, very nice. And then, yeah, we want to update this one. And we want to update this one. And this one we just ignore. And so now what we need to do is we need to run So let's actually maybe first commit these.
Do you want to branch?
I am on. Oh yes, I want indeed. I was about to say I am on. No, I need to branch. So what was this called? Chore
Types.
middleware. New rock and roll types and middleware.
Types and middleware. Nice.
And then we want. I guess we just say chore.
It's funny because I was so happy to see you using like the VS Code interface to,
There's certain
choose
things.
which files you want to commit, but then you go to create the branch and do the actual commit through the CLI.
Yeah, I could have done it here and there, right?
Yeah, that's what I do. I'm all in on the VS Code thing.
To be fair, it is quite efficient. It's just difficult to get it out of. I do have like some shortcuts as well. I have like git commit all, and so I don't actually need like if I just commit all the files.
Yeah.
But then the problem is you get into the habit of committing all the files. So okay, what we need to do now is rerun change set. And so change set, it is a little confusing. So you basically need to select the change packages, but we're not tracking the examples. So we only need to select the Next.js. Did we make changes to React? Yes, because we updated the version.
Okay.
So these three, okay? So you select these three, then you hit enter. Then they ask you which should have a major bump. If they shouldn't have a major bump, you just don't select anything, you hit enter. It's very counterintuitive, I feel. Then if they shouldn't have a minor bump, again, don't select any, hit enter. And then it means, okay, so they shouldn't have a major or minor. Okay, so they will have a patch. So this is how it works, which is a bit... I failed on this the first time. When I saw like major bump, I was, oh shit, abort.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, I updated the development MD instructions. And so I think what did I call it? Fix. No, then it should be fix. Types and middleware improvements. Let's just call them improvements. Okay.
I'm a fan.
So hit enter.
Yeah.
And so what it does now is basically ask you again, okay, and so like yes. And what it does now is it creates this. That's kind of all it does actually. It creates like temporary sort of file, and that you need to commit.
Strong avocados invite.
Yes. Strong. That's what we are. So chore change. Okay, let me do this change set. And then do I hit enter or?
No. Command enter.
Command enter.
Yeah.
Okay. And so now, yes, change set. We can push this up. Yeah, this is a bit unfortunate. So like when you're, you would just
the
click
push button.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Publish branch. Okay, fair enough. Because
it's all there.
Sometimes there's one here, but only when you don't have any committed, uncommitted.
It's all right. I never push the one that flips to there. I always push the little one down the bottom because it spins, and it's something about the spinning is satisfying.
It's true. Okay, compare. No, not the main, but the next branch. Here we are. We'll get Alaister to review it. And there we are. Yeah, I think so. That's I think I'm pretty happy with that.
Nice.
So once we have that out, I can finish my migration guide and updated examples, and then once V2 is out, we can get this out. Oh,
nice.
we can probably actually get it out already. No.
As long as you use the RC version, I think we'll just keep it as a next until we drop them simultaneously.
Yeah, let's do that, because I think we also have the shared has some dependencies on Svelte that are currently broken. So
yeah, I didn't touch the Svelte stuff.
yeah. But it's just yeah. Okay. Let's get this out so I can go to my physio. Okay. So what happens now is when you creating the pull request doesn't kick any CI off just yet. So what you need to do is we need Alaister to approve, to review. Luckily, Alaister has been pair programming with me, so that should be easy enough.
If I can actually find the author. Oh, it's my phone just buzzed saying I got a GitHub notification.
Oh, sweet.
Let's see.
We can also put in the chat if, but I don't think people can actually click on it. So,
Yes, I'm giving it a last scan, but I think it's pretty all right from the pair programming.
It did build, okay.
It did build. Yeah. Very comprehensive review. Looks good to me.
Nice.
All right.
Sweet. And so let's go ahead. And so when just make sure we're going into next. So when
I know that always scares me.
Yeah, right. So now what happens is we kick off the build. So you can see it's here.
Pretty cool watching a live thing on stream.
What's that? Oh, watching this live.
The package go out, release a new version.
Maybe actually we can look at the actual action view workflow file. Let's look at that. So what we're doing, check out. Okay, so we're setting up PNPM. Oh, and we're just running the build.
Super
and
complex.
Then we're creating a release.
Yeah, looks like it.
PNPM CI release. Okay, let's see at what CI release actually does. So it's interesting because it does two different things, which confused me a little bit in the beginning. So, no, not workflows, but package.json. Oh, change set publish. Yeah, so the interesting thing is what you can see now is that so if we look at this here, create release.
It runs change set version first.
Yes. And then what it actually does, it opens a pull request.
Whoa.
This one. Which actually has
that's pretty neat.
So I think it accumulates all the change sets. Right? Like the pre-release. Because it needs to keep track of them later when you actually make the release. Something like that. And then it does create the changelog. It updates the version here. And it does that for all the dependencies, right?
That's super cool.
And so basically now when you merge this, it runs again and it actually then releases to NPM. So now it runs again. But this time around, it detects that the version has changed.
Yeah. It's very cool.
That
it's
is
a cool idea.
It's pretty.
Yeah.
Change set, yeah. Who built change set? Is it Jared Palmer? I wouldn't be surprised. No, I guess it's not. Okay. How do we see? Atlassian. Oh. Oh, interesting. Atlas Kit is the origin of this. Huh.
Who knew? ThinkMill?
You
Maybe
Aussies.
I know. Well, it looked like ThinkMill as well, right? They're Australian. No? Maybe?
Okay. I don't know.
I don't, yeah. Okay, and I've just checked NPM, and there is in fact a new version. That is very cool.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Poland.
Yeah. Oh, I feel like I know this face.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, yeah. Look at that.
I know, that's wild.
Probably. Oh, gee. Okay. Nice. Babel. Wow. Roll up.
Redux. Busy guy.
Yeah. Change that. Okay. Stately. Wow. There we go. Matthias. Not sure if I butchered your name, but thank you, sir. And oh, interesting. Oh. Writer who has moved from writing fiction to writing code.
But look, Sydney, you see ThinkMill. I'm convinced it's Australian.
Yeah, there. Sydney. Lovely. Should hit him up. I'm in Sydney for New Year's. Maybe we can all go out, have a pint.
I'm in Scotland, but otherwise I would.
Okay. All right. I think we accomplished something. So
we cut a release, so let's say yes, we accomplished something.
That workflow, okay, yeah, pretty cool. Shout out to SilentWorks, who stitched all that together. Yeah, pretty amazing. Read the video description. What is this about?
It's replying to.
I'm lost to what's happening. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the video description doesn't give you much. It just tells you that Jon and Tyler have a well-deserved break, and Alaister should be having a break as well for the footy. But
well, it is a public holiday, but luckily for you, Thor, I had nothing planned this morning, so I got stuff planned for the afternoon. But.
Fantastic. All right, then. Yeah,
maybe just a couple of a couple of shout outs at the end. Supabase Twitter, twitter.com/Supabase. I think you're signed in as. There you go. You know who's behind the Supabase Twitter. Every tweet is Thor.
Look,
no one has.
People actually liking us.
Nice. There's some great memes on there. Your Twitter is @ThorWebDev.
That is correct.
Go give Thor a follow.
WebD.
WebD. You are from Germany.
Yes.
My Twitter is @Alaister Young.
Yeah,
spelled
Alaister.
Spelled in the interesting way that it is.
I tagged you somewhere. Oh, look, there you are. But again, you weren't tagged.
I know. It's
shame.
Rude.
Oh, look at this one. Here.
Yeah, that's good.
Great. Oh, yeah. Next hackathon probably coming up. Come on. Where are you? There you are.
There I am.
You need a new photo, I feel.
Yeah, I was like 17 years old in that picture, believe it or not. So I do need a new photo.
Just
haven't aged today. Our last thing to shout out is our Discord. Have you got a link to the Discord, Thor?
That's a good question. It should be in here, no? Ah,
Yeah.
look at that.
Come. If you want to chat to us, come chat to us on Discord. There are. Oh, we've just
Damn.
crossed the 9,000 mark. Wow,
Jesus.
that's pretty good. Help
That's
us get over
amazing.
that 10K. And next week, I believe we'll be back with. I think we're doing a new happy hour
Oh,
series. I think it'll be me, Jon, and Tyler again. But because
sweet.
it's we're going into October, we might be setting up a
Yes.
cheeky Hacktoberfest type thing.
Cheeky Hacktoberfest. I think maybe helping some folks get some pull requests into Supabase. I think
Yeah, maybe doing a
that'd
bit
be
more
awesome.
of this sort of stuff, doing some code reviews, doing some actual more real work, if you will, instead of just building fun apps, which
That's
we
real
we have
work.
been doing. Yeah, sure. Yeah, but other than that, do you have anything else you want to add, Thor?
No, I think I'm ready.
Excellent.
Ready for Friday. Yeah, it's Friday over here. And
Friday for me
anyone
as
who's
well.
not in Friday yet, happy Friday soon enough. Go to sleep.
Yeah.
Friday will come sooner.
Well, thanks for hanging out, everyone in stream, and
Yes.
thanks for watching.
Appreciate it. All right. Let me find the. I need to get used to this. I'm a terrible host. Jon will be back next week
Yeah, Jon
to
will
play
be
the
back next. Don't worry.
play the
We'll
outro
play the
properly.
video.
All right, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.